Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with your afternoon streaming show. We have had a week-long stretch of hot, dry weather with highs in the 90s and no rain since last Wednesday, and even that wasn't very much. So it was no surprise yesterday when the new drought monitor came out and it showed worsening drought across our region. Portions of the tri-state in Illinois and Kentucky now upgraded to severe drought. But the good news is there are changes on the way. After a week of nothing but hot, dry weather, as we get into next week, we've got several days in a row where we could get rainfall, and it's really looking increasingly confident here that that could be some fairly significant widespread rain, maybe even enough to bust us at least partially out of this drought. Now for tonight, any rain we see is very, very isolated. We've got those clouds that have kind of rolled in over the past few hours. We had sunshine this morning, but it's getting pretty gray out there now. Notice a few very spotty showers out in Illinois. You can just see those specks of green barely showing up on the radar there, with some more out west of I-57. As we continue through this afternoon and into this evening, that rain chance will push eastward across the tri-state. So an isolated shower certainly possible this evening into the overnight hours. Don't be shocked if you're out at a Friday night football game and you get a little bit of rain, but many of us will stay dry. That rain will be very isolated and should be pretty brief. The spotty rain chances carry over into Saturday as well. Now there will be times on Saturday where it's actually mostly sunny out there, so it's going to be a real mix, sun and clouds on and off throughout the day, and that isolated chance that at some point you may get a brief shower or maybe even a thunderstorm. But much like the rain we're seeing tonight, the rain on Saturday will be pretty spotty. So again, many of us will stay dry. That chance of drought-busting rain really creeps in as we get into next week. As for our temperatures, most of us sitting in the upper 80s to low 90s, a little cooler in Illinois with some lower 80s in Flora, Fairfield, and Harrisburg. 89 right now in Evansville and Newburgh, 90 in Owensboro, Henderson at 92. But check out Madisonville, warmest spot on the map at 94 right now. So as the kids are headed home from school this afternoon, those temperatures will be in the upper 80s to low 90s and then gradually fall back through the 80s this evening. If you're headed out to a Friday night football game, it will be mostly cloudy and warm during those games. Temperatures in the low 80s by the time things are kicking off, then dropping back into the low to mid 70s by the end of the game. Again, don't be shocked if you get an isolated shower at some of those games, but most of us will stay dry. By the end of the night, our temperatures will bottom out in the low to mid 60s, and then tomorrow, kind of a mix of sun and clouds, some isolated rain. Like I said, make it a little bit of everything tomorrow. There may be times where it's sunny and then a couple hours later you could get a little bit of rain. It will be another warm day though, with highs topping out in the upper 80s to right around 90, kind of similar to what we're dealing with out there today. But then as we get into next week, this is when those rain chances really start to ramp up. So while tomorrow the rain chances are very isolated, notice it becomes more scattered as we get into Sunday and especially Monday, Tuesday, and it looks like those rain chances may linger through all of next week. So we have this low pressure system that's going to come in from the northwest. We'll see some scattered rain on Sunday with even better chances Monday and Tuesday of next week. But then that low pressure system, it starts to slide to our south, but as it goes that way, it gets kind of hung up. It kind of stalls out just south of the tri-state. So that means that as it gets kind of stuck here, it's going to just keep spinning that rain out over the tri-state on through the end of next week. And while I don't think we'll see a lot of heavy rain from this, 4 or 5 days in a row of rain could really add up. It still looks like the heaviest rain will probably stay to our west out in Missouri, but rain chances for the tri-state are increasing. Yesterday, most of the models were showing around an inch of rain for the tri-state. Now we're showing closer to 2 inches of rain for the tri-state. So again, this would be spread out from Sunday all the way through Friday of next week, but every single day we would get a little bit more rain and kind of chip away at that drought, which is really the best way to do it. One heavy rainfall is not going to break a drought. What you need is moderate rain spread out over several days, which is exactly what we have in the forecast for next week. We're not expecting any kind of severe weather. We may get a few thunderstorms, a pocket of heavy rain, a few rumbles of thunder, but we're not expecting severe weather of any kind. This will just be mostly cloudy, cooler with highs in the mid 80s on Sunday, then low 80s and upper 70s throughout next week. Really where we should be this time of year, feeling like fall then, which is great timing because Monday is the official start of fall. That's the fall equinox. But yeah, it's just going to be mostly cloudy with a chance of scattered rain and maybe a few thunderstorms spread across the tri-state every single day next week. And every time we get a little bit of rain, we take a little dent in that drought, right? And so hopefully by the end of next week, we'll be able to lift some burn bans and really sort of get ourselves out of this drought. So I know if you have outdoor plans, this 7-day forecast looks like a bit of a bummer, but we really do need the rain, and this is exactly how we need this forecast to play out if we're going to bust this drought. So good news all around on that. If we look at the extended outlook now from September 27th, that's next Saturday, up through October 3rd, still seeing a trend towards slightly above average temperatures, but we do, especially across kind of our region and areas off to our east and west, we do start to cool things down a bit compared to what we've been dealing with for the past few weeks, and showing a trend toward average precipitation. So as that low pressure system that's going to be stalled out over our region for much of next week finally starts to push off to the south, that chance of above average rainfall slides to the south with it, and we see a return to more typical early October, late September kind of weather for us here in the tri-state. As for Gabrielle, still keeping an eye on it, tropical storm with 50-mile-an-hour winds. It is moving to the northwest, and it is expected to gain strength, becoming a hurricane over the weekend, and then potentially strengthening into a Category 2 hurricane early next week, and then weakening back out as it curves off to the north. You'll notice, though, it's not expected to hit any land. The closest thing would be this right here, this little dot that is not even in the path. That's Bermuda right there. Other than that, no land at risk with this one. So we're watching it, but really not concerned about Gabrielle. And no matter what happens, it's not expected to have any kind of local impacts. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up your forecast now, but don't go anywhere. Robinson Miles will be right back with your latest news headlines.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices. Live from 14 News, this is a 14 Digital News Desk update.
Thank you for joining us here today for our afternoon streaming show. I am Robinson Miles. Sadly, it is just me here today. Jamie is off having some fun adventures, and so you are just stuck with me today through not only our streaming show, but also our evening shows. Sorry about that. But I'll try and keep you occupied anyway. So we're going to start off today with our headlines. Of course, the biggest one that we're keeping our eye on right now is actually a continuation of a story that we have been following for some time. And that is that an Evansville man who's accused of killing a well-known realtor made his first court appearance today. Now, a not guilty plea was entered for 35-year-old Jamaris Parkman, who's being held without bond. Now, court records show a life without parole sentencing enhancement was also filed. Parkman is accused of strangling 74-year-old Susan Haney in her East Gum Street home on August 27th and stealing some cash. Police say surveillance video from several other homes in the area show Parkman walking through yards and driveways the same day as the murder. Now, Parkman was sentenced to 35 years in prison in 2012 for 9 counts of burglary and 2 counts of attempted rape. He was released on parole by the Indiana Parole Board in February of this year. Parkman has a criminal history of burglary and attempted rape, and he was released on parole by the Indiana Parole Board in February, as I mentioned there. Now, he is due back in court next month. Now, for our next headline here, we're going to take a slight look forward to our weekend. Of course, it is Friday. Congrats for making it, everybody. And we are looking forward to something just a little bit different that we have going on this weekend. Of course, if you want to keep things looking nice, especially with the lack of rain that we have had down the Ohio River, one thing you could do is go help clean it up a little bit. So happening tomorrow in Evansville, it's time for the annual cleanup of the Ohio River in celebration of World Cleanup Day. Officials say the Ohio River Sweep has volunteers removing trash from local waterways. Now, it's happening tomorrow morning at 8:30. If you want to help out, you are asked to meet at the EWSU building on Waterworks Road. More details on that can be found on 14news.com. Now, of course, we do have a whole lot more going on today. It is a Friday, so we've got our eyes looking forward to Touchdown Live this evening. It's going to be going on to the end of 14 News at 10. And of course, we've got our reporters stretched all across the tri-state. We've got a lot of stories coming in, all the things that I just mentioned in a lot more detail at 14 News at 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, later this evening at 10, along with Touchdown Live. So I'm just going to leave you with that for now. Miss me ever so much, and I will see you just a little bit later on.